Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are live tonight.
All right.
We are live tonight here at Black Spinner Music Vidcast. Last week we were not because Andy pressed the wrong button, but now I know the difference between live and recorded.
Is
So
that why it
now,
looked like an ad when you shared them? It just like join
yes, that's
StreamYard.
right.
Let's go. What
I
is
messed it
this?
all up. I tried to do live and it didn't work, and I panicked and I hit record just to start. But now we're on live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Black Spinner Music Vidcast with me, Andy Rodriguez, and my co-host, Al Horta. Hey, Al. How's it going, man?
What's up, everybody? How are you? Andy, how are you,
Great.
brother?
Oh, doing good. So we got a great panel with us tonight. We got Mark Alden Taylor with us today. What's going on, Mark?
Nothing much. Just work sucks, but I'm drinking. I feel good now.
That's always good to hear. And we got with us Flavio Vegas. How's it going, Flavio?
Oh, doing great. Glad to be back on here. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm glad you're back. And speaking of about someone who hasn't been here in a while either, Jimmy James Swartz is with us tonight. It's been a while, brother. Thank you for saying yes. So thanks for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure getting to come and hang out with you guys. Rest in peace, Norm. So
Yes,
Yeah,
Norm.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in
yeah.
peace, Norm.
I was saving that for tomorrow's show.
We'll talk about
I'm not on tomorrow's show, but
I know you're not. You should be. So, well, you're going to be on Friday's show. Well,
yeah,
4 weeks
yeah,
from
first
now.
time.
Yeah, I got to get you. I got to get you a thing. You got to give me tracks. I'll
Okay.
get to you later.
Sounds good.
Awesome. What we are doing tonight, though, each of us are going to be choosing our top 10 bands that we believe belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And each of us, after we hear the choices, we will either vote yes or no, and I'll keep tabs of who gets the most yes. Since we got kind of a big panel tonight, we are going to forego what's spinning. So each of us, let's do 3 per round, and then we'll save the last one for last. So let's get started. Mark, what's going on? Who are the 3 bands you believe should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
All right. I got Boston, Tesla, and Motorhead.
Okay. Flavio, yes or no on Boston, Tesla, and Motorhead?
I give all 3 of those a big thumbs up.
Thumbs up on all 3.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to be writing these down because this looks horrible already. Jimmy, Boston, Tesla, or Motorhead?
I'll give that there's some overlap on mine, so I'll definitely give all 3 a thumbs up.
Okay, all 3 get thumbs up. All right. Al, what do you think, man? What 3 should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Boston, Tesla, or Motorhead?
So I'm giving a thumbs up overall to all 3 of them, or I pick like who?
Oh, well, you can say Boston makes it, Tesla does it, and Motorhead does it. It's up to you. How do you want to vote, yay or nay?
I'm gonna vote yes for all of them. I love all the bands. Realistically, I think 2 of them have a chance, but
I agree.
I don't
Yeah.
think Tesla has a chance to get in there, man.
Yeah, I agree
Right.
with that. But
You know, but
I agree.
I mean, I love them, and I'd love to see them in there, but like the picks that I put on my list, I was like realistic with them. I'd love to see like King's X in the Hall of Fame. Never gonna make it in there. Like,
Right.
there's so many bands I'd love to see in there, but realistically, I didn't put them on my list. I'm just like, they don't have a shot, you know. So I was just a little more realistic with my list. You know, bands that actually I think have a shot to get in there. So
Well, we were talking about that at the top of the hour with Andy. We're like, is this bands just we want, or bands that we think should be in there and maybe could get in?
Well, Tesla's the only band that realistically I don't think they would get in. Boston and Motorhead, yes. I think this is the only band on my list that realistically Tesla wouldn't get in. But from my heart, I had to pick them.
Okay, so let me tell you how I'm going to do this. Boston, no. not enough. Tesla, no. Motorhead, yes.
All right.
That's the way I look at that, because Motorhead was a genre-bending, genre-leading band. Tesla, I mean, I like them, but I don't know about one of the greatest of all time. That's what I think a Hall of Fame is. And Boston, there's just not enough work for me to put them in there. I know that there's other bands in there that have gone in just on the strength of one album.
Sex Pistols.
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guns N' Roses.
exactly. But I don't believe that they belong in there either because of that.
Boston had 3 great albums, though.
I think
Eh,
I
they had
think
one great album and 2 really good ones.
I love Third Stage and Don't Look Back. Jeez.
so. That's so. But Mark does get it in because the majority wins. So the majority got all 3 in. All right, Fabio, what are you going to start off with, man?
Oh boy. Okay. I should have been more prepared for 3. Let me get my list here. Okay. I'm going to start with In Excess.
Nice. I should have picked them because they. Oh, good one.
So I got In Excess, and I've got Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
And Styx.
Okay. And Jimmy, what do you think about NXS, Jane's Addiction, and Styx?
I'm gonna go yes on Jane's Addiction, or yes on In Excess,
All right.
yes on Styx, and for me personally, Jane's Addiction probably wouldn't be it, but I also understand their the importance of them.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, I'll give them a yes as well.
Okay. Al, NXS, Jane's Addiction, and Styx.
In Excess, no. Jane's Addiction, yes. Styx, yes.
I'm
And
gonna,
I love In Excess too.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
right.
Right.
Yeah. This isn't saying that the band's terrible and I don't like them. It's are they considered one of the greatest of all time? Do they deserve to be enshrined in this Hall of Fame? I know that there's a lot of bands and artists that don't belong there, but this is the way we want it to be. Okay,
Yeah.
This is the way. If we were curators, if we were voters, this is what we would be doing. So I'm going to follow my co-host. I'm going to say no on NXS, yes on Jane's Addiction, and yes on Styx. Mark,
Going back,
Well-
go just
Yeah.
real quick, going back to Jane's Addiction. I think they were like this. I mean, to me, they were the start of the whole alternative revolution, and they were a couple years even before the whole big thing hit. I think they were like the forerunners of that. And I love the fact that they combined heavy guitars with kind of like this quirky vocalist kind of. It was almost like doing poetry reading to like
Funk.
metal and shit. You know?
Yeah.
It was just they were just so unique at the time they came out, man. I mean, nobody was really like them, dude. You know, so I think on that uniqueness alone, they get in. You know, so
Another thing that I consider too with them, Perry Farrell, it's with Lollapalooza kicking off the entire festival scene in America
yeah.
was pretty humongous.
Mm-hmm. And that stayed strong. It's still strong today, but during the 90s and going into the 2000s, I mean, all those festivals were because of him. They, rock and roll or anything else follows suit. And that's what happened after Lollapalooza. I loved Lollapalooza. I just enjoyed all the different genres. I went once before, and I thought it was fantastic. It was a great time. All right, Mark.
I'm gonna say, like you guys are talking about Jane's Addiction, I'm gonna push for NXS for one thing. Nobody sounded like them. Their music does not sound dated. You can still listen to that. It's groove, it's R&B, it's rock. It has a little bit of metal elements in it, and the band is just fantastic. The way they play, fantastic. The kick was totally like freaking U2's Octung Baby for them. It's like it just went in a total different direction from them from Listen Like Thieves. And they are a great band. Michael Hutchins was fucking the modern day Jim Morrison to me. That guy was the new Lizard King. And the fucking guy didn't commit fucking asphyxiation, man. We should have still had that guy with us. And the last two NXS albums were getting better. They were better. They were fucking break that. God damn it! It's in my. You had the Hearts album, and you had what's that? Elegantly Wasted. Fucking great album. Elegantly Wasted was
one with him.
Yeah, Elegantly Wasted was a lot.
One.
That album, that fucking boom, boom, that bass line on that fucking song, that album fucking ruled, man. I was pushing it on Aaron and Chris from Decibel Gate. Dude, yeah, do a harder side of Excess. Here's your album. You know.
Well, I think people forget how big they were in the 80s.
they
They were
huge.
massive.
Oh yeah,
I'm just gonna say, Jane's Addiction never sold out Wembley Stadium. NXS did. That's how big they were. That, but I say yes to all three of them.
all three. Okay.
All three.
Wow. All right. So Flavio got the Jane's Addiction in and Styx in. The NXS was a tie because it was 2-2. No, wait, 3-3. So you did get all three because Flavio counted as a vote as saying it. All right, Jimmy, what do you got, man?
So real quick, any duplicates that we have, do you want us to just mark those off since we've already voted for them?
And then we could add another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to
All
add another one, that's fine.
Okay. So in that case, I'll try to avoid duplicates. So what I'm going to go with first, I think this band has possibly the most overlooked singer in the history of rock and roll, and that is America's prog band, Kansas. Steve Walsh, to me, is as good as any vocalist. You put him up there with Brad Delp, put him up there with Steve Perry. That guy had pipes for days. And you talk about the music that they were doing. Unreal. So I've got Kansas. Second one, I already know this is going to be a no from Andy, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Talk about, again, dynamic frontmen. I think, everybody talks about David Lee Roth and Freddie Mercury, rightfully so. But we're going to go to an English prog band in Jethro Tull. I think Ian Anderson, brilliant writer. You look what those guys did in the 70s, and they were just one after another, just stacking these brilliant albums. The musicianship is top notch. Ian is an incredible flute player. And if you watch any live clips from them, that guy absolutely commanded the spotlight whilst standing on one leg and playing a flute. So Kansas, Jethro Tull. And this one's a selfish one for me because they're a top three band for me. And I think they're great and overlooked. And Phil Lynott is, if not the greatest lyricist of all time, he's Ireland's answer to Bruce Springsteen, and it's got to be Thin Lizzy.
I'm marking another one off
Nice.
my list.
Sorry, Mark.
That's okay. We're all getting them in there, so it's awesome.
All right, Al. Kansas, Jethro Tull, and Thin Lizzy. What do you think?
Yes to all three.
Well. All right. I'm going to go a little different on this one. All right. Y'all know me too well. I'm going to say yes on Kansas, no on Jethro Tull.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Thin Lizzy, let me see here. I will say yes on Thin Lizzy just because of the amount of music that they put out. And it was a while until they hit the big time with Jailbreak. I mean, there was already, like 5 or 6 albums before that?
Oh yeah.
Right? There's already 5 or 6 albums.
Oh, yeah.
And then they really kicked it in gear. And
Right, the fourth album is when it really fourth Nightlife was when it really started jump. That's when the real Thin Lizzy kind of started. But they had the 3 albums before that. So yeah, it was like 4 or 5 albums already.
And then Fighting kind of solidified that classic.
Yeah.
classic sounds that they started.
Nightlife wasn't quite there yet, but yeah.
But that was the first one with the classic
dual
yeah.
Warm and
I love that album. That's such a good album.
All right, Mark, Kansas, Jethro Tull, and Thin Lizzy.
I say yes to all three, especially Thin Lizzy and Kansas. Jethro Tull, I'm a casual fan, but they've done a lot. They're one of the few bands that you could go watch a show and they don't play the same set list twice. So they are a really talented band, and they should be in there just by. And they beat Metallica for a Grammy Award for one thing. Come on, man, they got to be in there.
That solidifies it, doesn't it?
That solidifies it, man. They're that good to beat Metallica. They're awesome.
That almost should make them lose a vote here tonight.
That's it. Case closed.
I do have like some people that I actually saw. I do know some people that saw Jethro Tull in the 70s, and I can attest. They said it was a wild concert, man. They put on they were like one of the top like live bands, man.
Well,
they sold out MSG for multiple years in a row. I mean, they were huge.
He's a heavy metal flutist.
Flautist.
Flautist. There you go. I knew I'd mess up a word here.
But he did. But Jimmy's right, man. I mean, if you see that early footage of Ian Anderson, he fucking prowls on stage, man. He was an awesome front man.
Yeah, go watch a live video of Locomotive Breath from like 77 or 78 and just watch him. It's incredible.
Well, just to say, I marked Styx off my list and Thin Lizzy off my list because they were on my 10. I'm adding 2 others now.
All right, Fabio. Which Kansas, Jethro Tull, and Thin Lizzy? What do you think, man?
Well, Kansas and Tull, I'm not a huge fan of either one, but I also do. I appreciate them and very talented musicians, songwriters. So I'll still give both of them a yes. Thin Lizzy, definite yes. I mean, not only I like the comparison to Bruce Springsteen with the storytelling. That's a great comparison. And also, I mean, I think without Thin Lizzy, I don't think you get Iron Maiden or any of the great dueling lead guitar work that followed in the 80s without Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of started all that. They were the pioneers when it came to dueling lead guitar players. And I think that alone is well worth inclusion.
Yeah, they did popularize it, along with Judas Priest, of course. They popularized that.
Yeah, but I think they were doing it earlier than Priest even.
Let's see, Priest came out in 74. When was Thin Lizzy's first album? 71?
Yeah, but they didn't start doing the dual
They
guitar.
were a 3-piece when they first came out. Okay?
But even Priest's first album wasn't real heavy on it either. I know they had 2 guitar players, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on the timing, but I feel like Thin Lizzy just
Wishbone Ash. I think it was Wishbone Ash.
Wishbone Ash was before them for sure.
Yeah, and Thin Lizzy
but they
were kind of
didn't
the two.
quite hit the big time.
No,
Like-
they
like
did.
Thin
I
Lizzy
liked it a
did.
lot.
Yeah.
But I do like Wishbone Ash.
Yeah,
I got quite
that's
a
good
few of this stuff. Really good, intricate guitar playing. Really good. All right, all 3 went in, Jimmy. All right, Al. How are you going to start off your list?
All right. Number 10, I'm going Robert Plant solo. Number 9, Devo. Number 8, Scorpions.
Nice.
All right.
Robert Plant, I'll just explain a little bit of my picks. So Robert Plant, I think his solo career, he had a ton of hits. He was always changing, always just kind of marching to the beat of his own drum. I think he's very deserving of being in there as a solo artist.
Very eclectic.
Very eclectic. Yeah. But in the beginning of the thing, he kind of took the Zeppelin where they were going and just kind of went with it. I mean, at least with his first 2 solo albums, it's kind of like if In Through the Outdoor, if Zeppelin continued after In Through the Outdoor, it kind of seemed like that was the direction they would have went in anyway, kind of. So, and then he started like branching out, like he went a little harder rock with Now and Zen and Manic Nirvana, and then with Fate of Nations, he started getting into like world music. And Fate of Nations is a great album.
29 Palms, love that fucking.
Yeah, great song. So anyway, I think Robert Plant's deserving as a solo artist. Devo, they're like one of the pioneers of like electronic music and just kind of that quirky, almost kind of like combining like a Zappa with like, like fucking Kraftwerk almost, but like adding a rock edge to it, like electronic, but like still has like guitars in it, and they just were like just kind of this own thing, man. They were, I thought they were very unique, So, and Scorpions, man, I think like the worldwide appeal that band has, man. We're not just looking in the U.S. I mean, worldwide, like Europe, South America, everywhere. The Scorpions are known, man. They're like one of the few bands that have this worldwide appeal, and they've sold tons of albums and they've had hit songs. And I think for the hard rock, side of it, that, they should be in. I mean, if Def Leppard is in there and, Scorpions should definitely be in there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
the thing is, the Scorpions never had a Hysteria or Pyromania though in their career.
Yeah, but you don't need that either. They've come
true.
close to it.
Love at First Sting was close.
It was about 5 million.
And you look at what they did with, kind of the Winds of Change
All their
stuff. I
albums
mean, that was
like multi-platinum, pretty much.
Yeah, they're all exit. Well, then you get into Eye to Eye, and you get into some Def Leppard too. So yeah, that's kind of
you're not inducting them for that.
I know.
Yeah, but then there's bands that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that have had bad albums. I know Neil Young has a handful of bad albums.
You put out 30 albums, you're going to have a few turds in there.
Yeah. I mean,
but I love Humanity Hour 1. I thought that was a great comeback for the Scorpions.
That was good. I like that one too.
All right. So I'm going to go with Robert Plant. No, because I don't listen to that much of his solo stuff.
You should.
I've got a couple of his albums. I've got the Principal one, and I got Now and Zen and Manic Nirvana, but I really don't hear him that much, but maybe I should. I would say no to Devo, and I had Scorpions on my list, so definitely Scorpions. I think the Scorpions were a worldwide phenomenon.
Devo with the Cars kind of started a new wave, man. It's like, if you think about that, man.
Okay.
Hey, I didn't put Oingo Boingo on my list. All you guys would have said no, so I'm good for that.
You don't know that.
You didn't know that.
Oh, I don't?
And with all the repeats, you might have to throw them in there.
I might have to, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't know. I might say yes on them. You never know. All right. All right, Mark. Robert Plant, Devo, Scorpions.
I say yes to all three.
Okay. Yeah, I should spend some more time listening to Robert Plant. I love his voice. Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite bands. I don't know why I just cut him off after that. I really did.
Fate of Nations and the album he did with Jimmy Page, Walking in Clarksdale. Come on, there's some good shit there. I don't care about the bluegrass shit he's doing. I don't like it all. I just don't like bluegrass.
I like it with Alison Krauss.
I don't like it.
But that's something that I do need to sit down and listen more to. All right, Fabio. Plant, Devo, Scorpions. Which way are you going?
Scorpions' worldwide appeal. Also, probably my favorite live album, Worldwide Live.
Yeah.
Was going to be on my list. So definitely a yes for the Scorps.
What about Tokyo Tapes, man?
I prefer Worldwide Live.
Like everybody does. I like Tokyo Tapes just as much, though.
Devo, absolutely. Pioneers. Destroyed Saturday Night Live. Great stuff there.
I remember that.
I do like Robert Plant solo. I don't think I would include him as Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, though, personally. That'd be the one I'd give a no to for the solo work, but the other two definitely yes.
All right. Good choices. All right. Jimmy, Plant, Devo, Scorpions.
Scorpions a yes. Devo a yes. I'm on the fence with Plant. I'm trying to think back of just kind of to his catalog. Yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty big in the '80s, and especially his first solo album was phenomenal. Yeah, I'll go yeah for Plant.
Did you ever watch Friday Night Videos? Big Log was all over that.
Yep. Yep.
that thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And man, I remember. I mean, the Honey Dripper stuff was just.
Oh, I love that. There's
something
good
so
rockin'
cool
at
about
midnight. I love
Yeah.
those. It's, I like Little by
Sea
Little.
Glow.
That's a great
Yeah.
song too, man.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely. I'm going yeah.
All right. For me, I am going. My first three, I am going to go with Grand Funk Railroad, Smashing Pumpkins, and 10 Years After.
Ooh.
Mark.
That's a hard yes to all three of those bands. They're all fucking amazing. I love the Smashing Pumpkins. Come on. 10 Years Gone is so fucking, nobody talks about that band. They fucking started a revolution with their shit. Like
10 Years After.
hippie hard rock, man. It was like hippie fucking metal riffs with a fucking message. Fucking great shit. And what was the other one again? I forgot.
Oh, it was Grand Funk Railroad.
Grand Funk Railroad, man. The fuckers sold out nights everywhere. You gotta give Grand Funk. And I saw Mark Farner live, and he was amazing. Opening up for fucking Blue Oyster Cult in a fucking swap meet. So I give a yes to all three.
All right, cool. Thanks for that 10 for that 10 Years After. I got a lot of their stuff and also some some Alvin Lee solo stuff.
Alvin
too.
Lee's amazing, man.
Yeah, he really is. All right, Fabio. Grand Funk Railroad, Smashing Pumpkins, 10 Years After.
Alvin, yes. Grand Funk Railroad, yes. 10 years after, gosh, I'm not super familiar. I know some of their stuff, and
I wanna change the world.
And I've definitely gotten some of the tabs in my guitar magazines that I've worked through.
Yeah.
But it's just not a band that ever stuck with me. Just for that reason, I'd have to probably vote no on that one.
Right.
Maybe it's ignorance, but
No, I say no to some stuff just because I don't hear it.
yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm just not familiar with some.
You just need to check out Alvin Lee, and then you'll change your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't vote a yes to being the best of the best if I'm not super familiar with them. And
Oh yeah, completely understand. Jimmy, Grand Funk Railroad, Smashing Pumpkins, 10 Years After.
I think the footage I've seen from Woodstock, I feel like 10 Years After stole the show. Man, Alvin just the solo he plays on there, it
He was
just
considered one of the
mind-boggling.
fastest of the time, man.
Yeah.
So good. So yeah, that's a yes for me. I'll give the Pumpkins a yes based on the strength of Siamese Dream, because that was a pretty groundbreaking album at the time. That was pretty huge. And Grand Funk Railroad's one of my favorite bands ever. I was fortunate enough to see the original lineup when they reunited for Bosnia. And when my mom got remarried,
Mhm.
her husband brought in all these old records. And I remember it was like Christmas finding all these records of these bands. And I remember pulling out Grand Funk, the Red Album,
Oh yeah.
cleaned it off, I put it on, and it just melted my face. Like it was just Mel Schaller, his
Yeah.
bass, that distorted bass he's got. Oh, it's so nasty in the best sort of way. Like it's just so good. And especially those records where they were a trio.
Yep.
Forget about it. One of the greatest bands ever. I mean, those guys sold out Shea Stadium quicker than the Beatles. How can you not put Grand Funk Railroad in the Hall of Fame? So that's a hard yes for me.
All right. Al, Grand Funk Railroad, Smashing Pumpkins, 10 Years After.
Grand Funk, I'm going to say yes, man. Yeah, dude, they sold out Shay faster than the Beatles. They were absolutely like, I mean, in the early 70s, they were like one of the biggest bands, man. Like, you can't even argue it. Like, it kind of gets lost today. Like, nobody really remembers that, but
They were a stadium band.
they were fucking massive, you
Yeah.
know?
Prince called them the three funkiest white guys you ever saw.
The Pumpkins, I'm going to say yes. As an alternative band in the 90s, they were a lot different than a lot of the other bands, man. They, I mean, on Gish and Siamese Dream alone, those first two albums, they were like so. It was almost like they combined like a goth. They were almost kind of had a prog element to them. They were like a mishmash of all these different things. Like, you know, where a lot of the alternative bands were just like kind of basic 3-chord rock. They had a sophistication in their music. It helped that they had one of the best drummers of the 90s in their band.
Chamberlain.
Jimmy Chamberlain was an absolute beast. I almost kind of consider him like the Neil Peart of like the alternative world in a way. You know what I mean?
Billy Corgan is a severely underrated guitar player too.
Yeah.
And Billy Corgan says Jimmy is his muse.
Yeah.
So,
They were, you know, there was a few years when Jimmy wasn't in a band. I think those albums that he wasn't on suffered.
called heroin.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think Billy suffered along with him. You have that with him.
I think they were different enough and unique enough where they and influential enough where they definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. And 10 years after, I think they should be in there too, man. I mean, Alvin Lee was considered like a guitar hero in the 60s, man. Like, he was like one of the best, man, you know. And he got pissed at some baseball game. I could tell by his mannerisms. I thought when I said 10 years after, yes, I thought he was like, yes, you know, but it's not to be.
Astros losing?
No, they're winning in the 8th, but they dropped a fly ball.
Okay.
And anyhow, all three I get it.
Sorry about that. All right, great. So, it's going to be 7, 6, 5. Mark, what do you got?
All right. Let's see. I'm going to take Megadeth, Phil Collins, and Alice in Chains.
All right. Got to take some off of my list after that.
Same.
All right, Fabio, Megadeth, Phil Collins, and Alice in Chains.
Megadeth, I'll give them a yes. Not only one of the pioneer thrash bands, but they were very different. They had a lot of jazz prog elements in those first couple of records that nobody else could even think about doing in the genre at the time. So that's a big yes for me. And obviously their impact and influence is enduring. Who was the second one?
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains. Unpopular opinion. I'm going to give that one a no. I guess I'm one of the rare ones. I loved Facelift. And I appreciate Dirt. And then I don't know. And I do like the acoustic. I mean, I like a lot of stuff. I like the acoustic albums. But I don't know. It's just not enough for me there.
You know, Shane and Jan are going to slap the hell out of you when they hear this.
Oh, we've had plenty of those conversations. So that's fine. They think I hate him, which I don't.
I mean,
I'm just not a mega fan.
Mooger
I just don't see it. And what was the last one?
Phil Collins as the last one, as a solo artist.
I'd definitely give that a yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that guy was a hit machine. You couldn't turn on a radio or a TV without hearing that guy's voice in the 80s.
He was more seen than Michael
Solo or
Jackson.
Genesis.
He was more seen in the 80s than Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Between a solo and Genesis, that's probably true. Yeah, and it's all good material. I know that his solo stuff it's not as strong as his Genesis stuff, but yeah, I'd definitely give him a yes still. I mean,
All
his
right.
drumming was still there on the
Yeah.
solo stuff, and that was still Phil Collins, and it was still great. Man, I tell you what, you ever watch the video for Easy Lover with Phil Bailey?
Yeah.
When it's like just this low budget kind of in the apartment.
Yeah.
Man, he is crushing those drums in that.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, really good stuff. All right, Jimmy, Megadeth, Alice in Chains, Phil Collins.
I don't think you have thrash without Dave Mustaine. That guy pioneered that sound, so that's an absolute yes for me. And spoiler, I had all three of these on my list, so they're all going to be a yes. To me,
Nice.
when I think of Seattle and my recollection, memory of the whole grunge sound, the first band that came to the forefront for me was Alice in Chains. I heard Alice in Chains before I heard Nirvana, before I heard
Me
Pearl
too.
Jam, before I heard any of them. And to me, they weren't. It wasn't grunge or anything. It was just really good hard rock. And I think that combination of Lane and Jerry's vocal harmonies, is so unique
It is.
and just incredibly cool. Good songs, yes for me. And Phil Collins owned the '80s. I mean, the guy played both nights or both locations at Live Aid in the UK, in London, and in Philly.
And then got
I mean-
blamed for Zeppelin's mishap.
Yeah. Yeah. He talks about that in his book. But yeah, the guy is incredible. And I don't think Genesis would have reached the heights that they had his first solo album not taken off. It was after that came out that Genesis started playing stadiums. And I think that was all on Phil's back. So yeah, for me.
Yeah, I think so too, because then there was three wasn't that great of an album, and they were kind of losing ground. They really were.
And
And
Duke was a great album, but
Yep.
it didn't set the world on fire like Face Value did.
Right. Yeah. Good one. Good points. All right, Al. Megadeth, Alice in Chains, and Phil Collins.
Yeah, I think Megadeth, yes. Yeah, it's, to me, Jimmy said it, man. I mean, even when Mustaine was in Metallica, he was an innovator. He was like, he kind of taught Hetfield, in a way, how to play. He was very innovative thrash guitarist, man.
Mhm.
Wrote great songs, and yeah, they had that kind of jazzy element, like the early Megadeth with Chris Poland. He was like a jazz guitar player, like playing metal. You know what I mean? So
And Gar on drums,
and
too.
Gar on drums, man. Like he had that swing, killer drummer, man. So yeah, they get a yes for me. So was it? Alice in Chains, definite yes. I think now that all the other three from the big four of grunge are in, and I don't think Alice in Chains, I don't think of them as a grunge band, but they were lumped into that scene. But they were a metal band to me, just kind of darker, heavier, perfect for they were really the ones that kind of spearheaded the big four. They were the first ones really. I mean, I know Soundgarden predicted them, but Soundgarden didn't hit really until after Alice in Chains, as far as like popularity goes. So yeah, Facelift. I mean, I was seeing Man in the Box on MTV, and I was like, before like the whole Nirvana,
yeah,
even
exactly
came into play. So yeah, they definitely need to be in. They were a great band, and they were my favorite out of that big four, actually. So, and then we got Phil Collins solo. Yeah,
Phil Collins solo.
Yeah, definitely, man. If I picked Robert Plant, Phil Collins has to be in there. Yeah, he was a hit making machine, man. There was like nowhere. He was just everywhere. I don't know how the guy slept between Genesis and his solo career.
I don't understand.
Oh, dang. That's probably why his back is killing him now. He's lifting both of his career.
Yeah,
Genesis.
from not sleeping, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
saw
why he's
some
been
interview with
divorced
him where
3
he was like, I could see why people hated me. I was fucking everywhere.
He did,
People could get away from me in the
he
80s.
did get a bit overexposed. Yeah, I'll admit that. But the hits that guy put out, amazing, bro. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy just was a hit making machine. So you think so all three get a yes from me.
Yeah, but then if you don't put yourself out there like he was doing, people forget about you.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
especially when you're.
you gotta find a balance.
Mhm,
You
okay.
know, but I guess the balance was his solo stuff and then Genesis. So, but then it became a point where like you started kind of not really noticing
Knowing which was which.
the solo and the Genesis, man. Like I get so many people like sometimes like a Genesis song or Phil Collins. Hey man, it's Genesis. No, it's Phil Collins solo. You kind of didn't really know the difference anymore. You know,
Well, especially the late when they started doing some ballads with Genesis and the later.
Yeah.
I
Right.
could tell the difference with Tony Banks' keyboard work.
but to the average, I mean, you're a music college.
Yeah, exactly.
The average listener,
Yeah.
Phil Collins and Genesis were the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's true.
I think Genesis was Tony Banks and Phil Collins in the late. Mike Rutherford added stuff, but not as much as those two. That's just my opinion.
Oh no, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Fabio, what is your 765?
Mike and the Mechanic should not be in a rock.
No.
Let me cross that off my list. No,
Although they had a lot of hits too, and they were cool. But I mean, nah.
I love the song "Take It In" and "Silent Running." Great songs, man.
The Living Years is a tearjerker, though.
It is.
So we talk about influence and things like that, and
Yeah.
a band that really talking about Alice in Chains and Nirvana, all them. None of maybe not Alice in Chains because they were more from a hard rock metal background. But you talk about like Nirvana and Radiohead and these guys, they wouldn't have even been around if it wasn't for the Pixies. I mean, those first three, maybe four albums, even up to Trompe Le Monde. I mean, that created the blueprint for the alternative and grunge era that was to come. So I think they would definitely deserve inclusion there. And then going back, well, they were started in the 80s too, but going earlier in the 80s, then I'm going back to Billy Idol and his partner Steve Stevens, of course, and then Bryan Adams, another one who I'm kind of a little shocked that he's not there yet. Based on, not only, Rock Hall loves sales, and this guy sold and wrote more hits. Like we're talking
He's
about Bill
still
Collins
selling
and
out
his
arenas.
hits. But then also just I know he's kind of disappeared for the last. I know he's starting to tour again, but he's kind of disappeared for the last 20 years. Maybe that's why the Hall has ignored him. But
Hey, his last album was produced by Mutt Lange, and it was great.
yeah,
He brought Mutt Lange out of retirement, man.
and not only that, but he also has written a lot of great songs for other huge artists. So, but I know that doesn't necessarily count for induction. It's more on his output as a recording artist. But at any rate,
Him and Jim Valance, but Jim Valance should be in there with him now. Just saying.
I'm sure he would be included in there. Yeah.
He should be included if Bryan Adams gets in there.
Just one thing, though. The Pixies are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They are?
Yes.
Oh, I had
Since
no
when?
idea.
They got in last year in 2023.
Oh, wow.
No, they did not.
No, they
Yeah,
didn't.
Yes, I just looked it up because that's why I don't have it on my list. Says right here, yes. The Pixies were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2023.
Man, I don't
Damn.
remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I don't remember that either, but I looked it up because I was going to put them on there, and then I didn't because that's what it said. So, do you got another one, Fabio?
I do.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go. I'm going to then go to another pioneer. Then
All right.
I'm going to say Bad Brains. Just hardcore punk pioneers,
Mhm.
and then all the diversity brought in between reggae and metal. and hip hop later. I mean, and those guys, yeah, you know what? And these guys were. This is one of those bands that if the Rock Hall even looked at them, they'd be like, F you. I don't want to be part of this. We're not doing this for accolades.
Right.
They were the true punk to the essence. So I would put them in there for sure, even though they might not want to be there.
Right. Who's the second one that you had said, Fabio? I'm sorry.
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol. That's right. Okay. All right. All right, Jimmy. Bad Brains, Bryan Adams, and Billy Idol.
I'll give Bryan Adams a yes. That guy was huge.
Yeah.
Billy Idol, I'll give a yes to as well. And sorry, Fabio, I don't know enough Bad Brains, and I'm not too immersed in the punk rock stuff. So I'm gonna give a pass on Bad Brains.
Al.
Nothing
Bad
personal.
Brains, Bryan, Billy Idol.
What's the name the three again?
Yeah, Bad Brains, Bryan Adams, and Billy Idol.
I'll say yes to all three of them, man. Bad Brains, definitely. There's an influence there. They were, like you said, when we talk pioneers of genres, man, they were a pioneer of hardcore and punk in the early 80s, man. Did they come out in the late 70s?
I think late 70s,
70s.
yeah.
Or 80
They're a
was
huge influence on a lot of bands.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I mean, I hear so many metal bands, even like artists like Name Check, Bad Brains is an influence. Yeah, and then if it wasn't really, it kind of wasn't. If it wasn't for them, kind of, would there be a Living Color? Would there be like bands like that, man?
Fishbone.
Yeah,
I don't like Fishbone.
Well, get out of here.
They're like an Oingo Boingo sounding band, but they ain't Oingo Boingo. Just saying that.
They're not an Oingo Boingo sounding band.
Oingo Boingo's way better. Yeah, they are. They have the horns and shit.
That doesn't make it sound
They like make ska with alternative.
Just because they have the same instruments.
Bryan Adams, yes. Hit Making Machine,
Yeah.
Great songwriter too. Wrote songs for other artists. I mean,
Yeah.
Kiss.
Yeah, I know. War Machine and
with Jim Valance again.
yeah. Billy Idol, yeah, man. He brought this punk aesthetic into like pop, kind of like almost
New wave. Yeah.
kind of like a punkish thing with like almost like dance music, and it was pretty unique, man. Like he had that snarl, but it was very fucking hooky. And I mean, Steve Stevens, like his sideman, there was a little while where he wasn't in there, but great. I mean, he's fucking phenomenal. I just saw Billy Idol like a week and a half ago, and fucking Steve Stevens just blew me away, man. I mean, it was my second time seeing them actually. So Steve Stevens is like, he needs to be name checked as a guitar hero more often. Because that guy doesn't get like the credit at all.
What was his band, Atomic Playboys? That was a great
Oh,
album.
dude, that album is phenomenal. Dude.
That was phenomenal. I love that fucking album.
Yeah, and then he did other albums with like Tony Levin. I mean, he could be proggish. He can be all that.
Well, he had a solo album with Flamenco a Go-Go.
Yeah,
and stuff.
So yeah, I mean, like Billy Idol, I think should be in there as well. I mean, he was pretty. Yeah, he still sounded good when I saw him.
Yeah,
Still looks great too, man.
Yeah, I saw Billy Idol probably about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think you saw him right.
Great.
You saw him right before me or after me? I think before me.
I saw him on May the 2nd.
Okay,
No, May the 3rd. May the 3rd.
Yeah, because I saw him not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. So yeah, it was right before Mother's Day, day before Mother's Day.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it was a great show.
Great show, man. And Joan Jett was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get it gets a triple yes for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go along with Jimmy. I don't know enough Bad Brains. I know who they are and all the great influence that they had. And weren't they out of Washington D.C. if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Right. I mean, they start that whole scene in in DC,
in
along with Minor Threat,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Black Flag.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Because I don't know them that much, I'm still going to give them a yes for the influence and the genre that they came with. Brian Adams, I'm going to have to give a yes. I absolutely loved his music in the 80s, going into the early 90s. I kind of dropped off with him, but he gave me enough music for a decade to really, really enjoy that pop rock sound with really great, honest lyrics. And Billy Idol, I say yes. I thought Billy Idol really had a good run there in the 80s going to the 90s. I know a lot of people don't like Cyberpunk, but I really thought
I like that. I like that album.
I really thought that was very brave of him to do, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit of, well, not a little bit, it was ahead of its time, really. People didn't know what to make out of it. And then a few years later, you know, you got like this alternative kind of cyber stuff, which, you know, Billy Idol had already done. So I love that album. So Billy Idol, I say yes on all three. All right, Mark. Bad Brains, Brian Adams, and Billy Idol.
I don't know much Bad Brains, but a lot of my bands love Bad Brains, like Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl. It was in a documentary, bringing them in on that album, man. Fucking,
Well, yeah, he came from DC too.
yeah. So fucking, what was that documentary? I fucking love that documentary where they went to each city and recorded a song.
Yeah.
Subterranean. I love that fucking. That's my favorite Foo Fighters album, by the way.
Sonic Highways. Is that?
Sonic Highways. Yeah, that great documentary. If you guys haven't seen it, I bought it on Apple TV.
I have the DVD of it.
Yeah, I bought the digital version of it. But yeah, I agree to all three, especially Brian Adams, man. My God, that guy is still making music. He's still selling out arenas, man. He doesn't need a co-headliner. Just put it that way. He's still selling out the Forum. He's still selling out all these great arenas, man. He ain't playing sheds. He ain't playing things that have lawns on it. He's playing indoor arenas. He's still as popular as fuck. I don't care about his lifestyle, his vegan thing. Eat some meat, Brian. You look too skinny, but I agree with all three.
All right.
Just FYI, looking at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's website right now, Pixies are not listed there. So I don't know.
I don't think they're in there, man. I think it's a mistake.
Okay. I'll write to Google and let them know.
Well, you can go to, I went to Wikipedia on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, and they're not on there.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm looking at the wrong. No. Okay. Well, then we all okay. Then let's vote. What do y'all think about Pixies? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
Okay. All right. And then tomorrow I will write an ugly letter.
A strongly worded letter.
Very strongly.
Pixies had Frank Black, right? He was in them.
Huh?
Pixies had Frank Black, right?
Yeah.
Black-
Yeah.
And they also
Kim Deal.
they also had the Kim Deal from
Yeah,
Deal.
Cannonball Girl.
I saw Pixies twice, man, live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they opened for Weezer,
Yeah. I saw that tour.
and then they did a little they did a headline tour. I saw them in a theater in Newark, New Jersey. It was it's like a really nice, beautiful, like almost. It's got like the balconies. It's almost like the acoustics in there are like.
It sounds like we saw the same two tours of theirs. Yeah.
And they were great, man. And I went, and I had I had like nobody else. I had 2 tickets for it. They were comps, you know. I got them from somebody I knew at a radio station, and nobody else wanted to go. I went by myself, man. And I was like, I never saw the Pixies before. I'll go fucking check them out, and they blew me away. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? And also, it's not on their Wikipedia page because most of them say Hall of Fame inductee. Huh.
You know the Google also told me The Cure wasn't inducted, and I saw them get inducted.
They are.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I will send them 2 letters. All right, Jimmy, your go, man. What is your number?
All right.
765.
All right. So this one, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the guy had one of the biggest albums of all time. And I'm going to go Meatloaf. Bad Out of Hell was everywhere in the 70s. And I mean, come on. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I mean, that's the ultimate teenage
Oh,
song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, getting laid. Yeah.
It's I mean, is he gonna hit home base or not?
Yeah.
That
Stop right there.
I gotta know right now. And plus you got Todd Rundgren's incredible guitar playing on the album. So I gotta give it to him for that. Next, I'm gonna go with the one and only Motor City Madman, Sweaty Teddy Nugent.
he's off
And,
my list now.
Sorry, Mark. I mean, again, this is another guy. You know, I talked about NXS. People forget how huge they were. Ted Nugent was massive, and I think people look at him now, and if people disagree with his politics or whatever, they minimize what he did in the 70s. And
Absolutely.
you could not turn on AOR radio without hearing Cat Scratch Fever or Stranglehold, or I mean, just in his guitar playing, just forget about it. Like,
Hey, baby. Yeah.
oh gosh,
Yeah.
and Derek's voice is one of the greatest.
Oh, singer. Mhm.
So I'm gonna go with those guys. Sorry, I'm kind of going on
Well,
the
you
fly.
got a
with
double
some-
entendre there. Meatloaf sang on some Ted Nugent too.
There's a little bit of intention on that. A little bit of intention. And I am going to go with the band that kind of gets recognized for kicking off the whole prog stuff in the 70s, and King Crimson. You know,
Joseph
again,
Staub is now your best friend.
Joseph's my boy anyway.
I love Joseph.
He's a good dude.
He got me into that band.
It's because he knows. He knows. He's got it down. But man, you listen to those records, and it's just brilliant. And the way they were able to morph. I mean, it's almost Bowie-esque, the way they were able to kind of transform into different identities in a lot of ways. And it's hard to describe unless you just sit down and listen to the catalog. But I feel like they should be in the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, their musicianship alone should, put them in there as well.
John Wetton, man.
One of my favorites
Greg
of all
Lake?
time. Greg Lake was there. Bill Bruford. Adrian
Bill,
Ballou.
God, man.
Adrian Ballou, yeah.
All right, Al, Meatloaf, Ted Nugent, and King Crimson.
I know Meatloaf had like one of the biggest sounds, but I think I'm gonna give him a no, man. Honestly, and I know it's one of the biggest selling albums. I know there's, like Andy said before, there's artists and bands that it's off of one album, but I don't know. I say a no to him. Ted, yes, he was he had a run of albums in the 70s, man, and he was an arena act. Even did stadiums too, like in a multi-band package. But yeah, he was, like you said, people forget how huge he was, man.
Texas Jam, 78, man.
Texas Jam.
Yeah.
And then King Crimson, absolute yes, man. I mean, they were like pioneers of the whole prog movement. To me, them and Jethro Tull, like right there, they're innovators of like progressive. But I think King Crimson really, because Jethro Tull kind of started more bluesier, then kind of went into that prog jazz territory, whereas King Crimson, like right out of the gate, I mean, they were so different and weird, and it's great. And then like Jimmy said, I mean, shit, man, you can even say they did in the 80s, it was almost like alternative, like the way, the whole, like when they were with Adrian Ballou and all that, it was like a completely different band, And I gotta say, like I saw last year, I saw that band Beat with that phenomenal. It was if they come back ever again, I'm seeing them again. And I've seen King Crimson a couple of times still with the 3 drummer lineup. It was just insane, man. Insanity. You know, it's a musician's wet dream, dude. I mean, if you don't walk out of there satisfied as a fucking musician, you're in the wrong place, man.
Three
So,
virtuoso drummers too.
My
It's not
God.
like they have three hacks. They have three
Yeah.
virtuosos up there.
they had Gavin Harrison from Porcupine
Oh.
Tree. It was,
That dude's incredible.
I mean, he could do it alone if he wanted to, but they had
Yeah.
3 fucking guys up there, man. You know, so yeah. So I say yes, definitely. To Meatloaf, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no to him. So
It's all good, Al.
sorry, bro.
No, it's all good, man. I get it. It's a stretch. I know.
I'm going to say
It was almost going to be a yes because he was on Free for All, but
Yeah, baby.
And he was in the Pick of Destiny. So I mean, you know.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
I love Tenacious D.
nice.
I'm going to say no on Meatloaf. I love that first album. I absolutely love it, beginning to end. 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad is one of my favorite songs. I love that ballad. The storytelling. Him and Jim Steinman just hit it out of the ballpark. But after that, I don't know. So no for me on that one. Ted Nugent, you know, people don't like his politics. He's a jerk. Well, you know what? He's not my neighbor, so that don't matter to me. The dude can play the guitar, and I love listening to Ted Nugent music. So Ted is a yes for me. I'm not too familiar with King Crimson, but it'd be unfair to say no to them because I know that so many people love them, and every time you read any kind of article or see anything to do with prog music, they are there in the middle, if not towards the top of those lists. So I will say yes to them. All right, Mark, Meatloaf, Uncle Ted, King Crimson.
Uncle Ted, yes. King Crimson, yes. Joseph just got me into them. He made me a YouTube playlist because I love John Wetton, but I've heard the stuff without John Wetton is pretty good shit too. It reminds me of Yes, like between Yes and Rush. It's got a Yes and Rush feel, and I love both those bands. So why wouldn't I like King Crimson? But Meatloaf, I like the first album. I like him on Free for All, but after that, fuck that shit. I would do anything for love. Fuck that song.
But I
hate
won't
it.
do that.
I don't like it. I think it's just
What is
fucking
that?
horrible shit. It's horrible shit. Bad at Hell 2 could fuck off. I don't even know why they had to make a sequel. Fuck. The first one was just amazing as it was. But after the first album, I didn't like Meatloaf. I liked him on Free for All. No, he doesn't belong in there unless they're doing a fucking Sex Pistols thing and put him in on one album.
All right. All right. What is going on there, Fabio? What do you on Meatloaf, Nugent, and Crimson?
Meatloaf. Yeah, I mean that's a fencer one. I mean, but yeah, that was a very creative partnership there between Meatloaf and Jim Steinman. I got to give it a yes. That was really creative, very different, and it had great success. So yeah, I can't argue with that either. Ted Nugent, politics aside, still going to give it a no. I'm sorry. I don't know. I've always thought he was kind of overrated, even before he became a public nuisance.
Do you know that Tom Morello loves him? You know they're on the opposite side of the spectrum. Just letting you know that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Tom
I mean,
Morello
it doesn't
and
change
him-
my opinion, but
Tom Morello and him get along big time.
well, that's good. That's good. But yeah, I mean, it's still, even like I said, even before I even knew what he was into personally, I don't know. He never did much for me. And what was the third one? Oh, King Crimson, definitely yes. Yeah, absolutely, for sure, 100%. Andrew Ballou alone, golly, that guy. One of the greatest guitar players, another unsung, criminally underrated, or not underrated, but I would say not enough well-known maybe in the general guitar community.
I
Definitely,
think it's fair.
definitely a unique player, man.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say he's underrated.
I think
that's fair.
I think he was kind of like Tom Morello before there was a Tom Morello.
Yeah, for sure.
like he used effects to like a great, but I mean, it's not to say that he's not great without the effects. He is, but he used effects to a great to make things unique. You know what I mean? But shit, man, he played with the Talking Heads too, man.
And I'll tell you what, if you listen to those 80s Crimson albums like Discipline and Beat, he's playing in one time signature while the band's playing in a different time signature and he's singing at the same time.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
So-
I mean, it's insane.
Unbelievable.
When I saw Beat, that's all they played was the 80s King Crimson. Those
Mhm.
3 albums, man. Which
Right.
which was fine with me, man, because there's some great stuff
they're
on
so
those
good.
albums. I think it's so different than the 70s stuff. It's just crazy how they changed, man. You know?
It was a different band. It was a totally
Yeah.
different sound,
Yeah.
but it was freaking
It's all
brilliant.
good.
So
Yeah.
Fabio, you didn't like Ted Nugent, Damn Yankees?
I like Damn Yankees, yeah, but
Okay, just
but
asking.
but Ted Nugent solo material doesn't sound like Damn Yankees. It's different.
Mm.
Damn Yankees is more in
Got more
the
melodic. It's
more the melodic Night Ranger vein, where I feel like Ted Nugent is more kind of just generic 70s
What?
punk rock type of stuff.
Generic?
My opinion.
Yes, that's what he did, Mark.
I know. I'm just saying his opinion just hurt my heart. That's about it. I'm not downing him for his opinion at all.
And his 80s material, forget it. That's even worse.
Oh, I liked him with Brian Howell was on one of his albums. Love that fucking album.
I like Brian Howe at that company.
All right. Let's see here. Jimmy, right? No, Al.
No, Al.
Al. All right.
So we're going 7-6-5.
Right.
It's funny, man. It's this triple S here. I'm going with Sade. She's one of my favorite female singers. She's jazz, pop, sophisticated, like smooth jazz, and her voice is like silk. One of my favorite like female singers. I love her, man. And she doesn't like tour very much, but like one of my bucket list things is to see her in concert still. I'd love to see her, you know. Number 6, I'm going with Slayer.
Nice transition there.
Listen, if you have Metallica in there, if you're gonna throw, I mean, Megadeth's not in there yet, but to me, Slayer brought extreme music to like kind of the masses, man. Like nobody ever, they had gold albums, man. Nobody as heavy as that, as dark lyrically, ever had sold as much as they did, and they were just completely unique in what they did. They bought, I mean, in the beginning, they kind of sounded like Venom, but then they kind of went into their own kind of style. And I mean, like, it's like you fucking, you know, you go to pretty much anybody and they heard of Slayer, you know, somebody that's remotely knows music is gonna know Slayer. So I think they were like they were different enough, and they were genre bending. They kind of, not genre bending, but they were pioneers in the genre, man. I think right up there with Metallica. I think in the beginning, you know, Metallica obviously went to a much bigger, more commercial place, but I'll give Slayer this, man. They stayed the course. They stayed, you know, with the exception of one album, but they stayed the course, man. They never really sold their principles out. They didn't care about radio play, none of that stuff. So I give it to them for integrity too. And then number 5, I'm going with the Smiths. I think if you're gonna have REM in there, I think if you're gonna have U2 in there, you got to have the Smiths in there. And in the 80s, when I went to high school and junior high and stuff, there was kids, you know, everybody, there was the metalheads, there was the rap kids, and there was like the alternative kids, man. And the Smiths were like their gods, man. You know, and I had a friend of mine that he was kind of like me. He liked all different genres, but he loved the Smiths. Tried to introduce me to them. I didn't get it back in high school, man. I was like, dude, what? I can't. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I don't.
I don't
You know,
know.
it wasn't until much later I gave them a chance again, and I think they're a great band and they deserve to be in there. So I think they're pioneers of like the modern rock alternative, like, you know, of the 80s. So, and they're like, you know, not to say that they're the Beatles, but they had their like 5 or 6 year run and then gone. They put their mark there and then they split up and that's it. They've never reunited, nothing. You know, they had 4 albums in the 80s and that was it. You know, so I don't know. I think Smiths are deserving. So
For sure.
so it's Sade, Slayer, and the Smiths. You can't get more eclectic and
I like it.
far apart
Awesome.
than that. So
Al's not gonna like
I know I'm
me.
gonna get a few no's on this one.
Yeah, Al's not gonna like me on this. I'll tell you that.
Nah, that's all right. I'm breaking up with you.
I'm gonna do this like a band-aid right off. I say no on all 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slayer, I never really got into, and I really don't enjoy them at all. The Smiths, I'm just getting into, like I'm tipping my toe in the water with the Smiths, and my toe is liking what it's hearing, but I'm not there yet. And Sade, I just know a couple of songs on the radio. I know who she is, and I know what she stands for, and it is smooth. But I just wouldn't put her in that tier yet or tier. So it's a no on all 3. Sorry about that, Al.
No, it's all right.
I feel bad. All right, Mark
What were they again? The Smiths, Slayer.
and Sade.
Well, I hate Slayer. I'm going to tell you that, but I can't dismiss what they did in that genre. So I would say yes to Slayer. I would say yes to the Smiths because I'm a huge the Smiths fan. I love Morrissey. I love a lot of his solo stuff. Johnny Marr was a great fucking guitar player. I don't care what you guys say. And Sade, I'm not a huge Sade fan, but I think she does because she brought a difference in the 80s with what she was putting out on. She was played on MTV, for God's sake. God, it's like, I agree with all 3, and I hate 2 of the 3. So there you go.
All right, Fabio. Sade, Slayer, and Smiths.
I'm gonna give a big yes to all 3 as well. Sade, yeah, I mean, totally different for the era. Really good, and don't dismiss the band too. I mean, there's some good smooth jazz, new age bass playing going on throughout all that. I mean, yeah, great band to go along with their vocals. Slayer, nothing more needs to be said about them. And what was the other S?
Smith.
Smiths.
Oh, Smiths, yeah, for sure. They'll never get in because of Morrissey being such an asshole to to everybody in authority. So they'll probably never put them in. But I agree, they for sure belong there. Johnny Marr, I agree with you, Mark. Johnny Marr is a great guitar player that's overlooked too often.
Very unique as well.
Absolutely. Another one that the Edge could be compared to and could owe some tribute to, I think, there as well.
Okay. So it's a no, it's a yes on all 3. Jimmy, Sade, Slayer, Smiths.
I'd agree. I think Marr is a better player than Edge.
I agree.
I'm not a U2 hater. I like U2. I really do. But I think Marr is a little bit more creative, and Edge kind of relies a little bit too much on his delay.
But he uses that too. Whatever.
I'll agree.
And Tom Morello doesn't either? Okay, whatever.
Morello can shred.
And so can
Yeah.
he if he wanted to.
I'm waiting to hear that. But
But
that's
I'm with you.
Imagine if the Edge comes out with like an Ingve type album.
Edge.
Here's fucking
The
Edge.
neoclassical.
Sweet-
The
sweet
neoclassical
radios
years.
and all this shit, dude.
Edge does Pagini. Yeah, I'm gonna go through all. Yes, on all three. Sade is. I mean, come on, that's amazing music, and Slayer. Again, I mean, metal probably wouldn't be what it is if it weren't for those guys. So yeah.
All right, well, make me look like the jerk, guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Al had all S's. I think I have all M's coming up here. I think I do. I might not. Hold on. I was sharing our episode around, or are we? No, just 2 M's, 1 T. Triumph, Motley Crue, and the Monkees.
Wow.
So where are y'all with that? Mark, Motley Crue, Triumph, and the Monkees.
I put Triumph in. I put the Monkees in. I think Motley Crue has been overrated for years. They made like 2 good albums, really, and they're a pretty shitty band. They can't really play. And the Monkees taught themselves how to play and wrote their shit. So I take the Monkees. And of course I take fucking Triumph. That is a fucking great band. They're in a Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why shouldn't they be in the American Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Just saying. Triumph fucking rules.
Hall of Fame. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I know, but they're in the Canadian Rock Fames. They should be there too.
Well, that's Canada.
Hey.
But I do have Triumph going in there. But I don't know why they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. Fabio, Motley Crue, Triumph, Monkees.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another 3 yeses. Motley Crue was definitely in my top selections. You're crazy if you think they only had 2 great albums. But not only that, but they basically defined the 80s LA metal scene for the rest of the 80s. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff that people didn't like later, but there's a lot of great stuff that happened during the 80s, and Motley Crue were the pioneers and the start of that. Not that they were virtuosos on their musicianship, but damn, could Nikki Sixx write a song, and they could put on a live show like nobody had ever seen before. So for sure they belong there. Triumph, absolutely. Another great band, great Canadian trio.
Yep.
And
the Monkees.
Oh, the Monkees, yeah, for sure. We talked about them before on another show. I can't remember which one, but yeah. Regardless of their beginnings, yeah, they turned into a great band with a lot of hits that have endured the test of time.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah,
I mean, their hit songs are still hit very good. So yeah,
agree.
And also, they were innovative with the camera and videos and and so much more. All right, Jimmy, Motley Crue, Triumph, Monkees.
Okay, Triumph is a hard yes for me. Motley Crue, I'm a little on the fence with because I'm with Mark that with Vince Neil, there's really only 2 albums start to finish that I really like. I love the Karabi album. I think that's phenomenal. And actually, the only time I ever saw Motley Crue was with Karabi, which is a whole other story. Yeah, the lineup was crazy. It was Typo Negative, King's X, and Motley Crue.
I know what a show that, man.
It was phenomenal.
I remember. I think they were supposed to come to New Jersey, and that got canceled.
Yeah, well, this was in Indianapolis, and they were giving tickets away. So, like, if you went to see the Scorpions that year, you got a free Motley Crue ticket. Like, if you bought, they would give you a free lawn ticket. And
are you in Indianapolis?
I'm from South Bend.
Oh, okay.
And so I live in New York now, but
okay. You say I'm an indie guy. Let's get together.
Are you? No kidding. I used to go to Deer Creek all the time.
Yeah.
So we might move back there. So if that happens, I'll let you know for
Pacers
sure.
Kicking it off tomorrow night.
I can't wait. Go
Pacers. The Celtics are
Pacers.
out. I'm at.
um, but it was so undersold that after the two opening bands played, they had everybody that was up on the lawn come down and they almost filled the pavilion.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, man, Motley, they put it all out there. I mean, they really, really did. And it's a shame that that album didn't take off and we didn't get a little more with Karabi. But anyway, but based on here's why I'm going to give Motley a yes. The first two albums, and they really kind of set the hard rock power ballad thing in motion with Home Sweet Home.
Yeah.
So I've got to put them in for that. And the Monkees, I love the Monkees. Mike Nesmith, anything Mike Nesmith does,
Mhm.
I'm all about it. That guy is so talented. And Pisces, Aquarius, and Monkees
Yeah.
is one of my favorite records of all time. And
Oh, wow.
that's probably a top 15 record for me. It's Salesman, She Hangs Out. Man, it's just so much. Fading into the Door into Summer, like all that stuff is so good. So you
What
got
am
a yes.
I hanging around?
Yeah. And those are Mike tunes, and he wrote those. And the stuff he did afterwards with the First National Band was really pioneering as well, with like country rock and
Country rock, yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, and then even his late '70s stuff was very experimental rock with the use of keyboards and production,
Yep.
which was really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Al, Motley Crue, Triumph, and the Monkees. What do you think?
I'll say yes to all three. Yeah, Monkees, man. I love the Monkees. I went to go. I got luck a few years ago before COVID. I saw the Monkees in concert, man, and it was before Torque and Nesmith passed. So I got to see all three of them. Although Nesmith, he wasn't there literally live on the stage, but they Skyped them in live for a few songs. So I did get to see all three of them play together. So,
that's cool.
but it was Torque and Dolan's on the stage, and I'm fortunate enough because it's only down to Dolan's now. So
Down the Dolans, yeah.
but I mean, my wife and I went. We had fucking the best time, man. It was, I mean, all the songs. It's just so fucking, so great, man. And they had a great new album out at the time too. I remember the guy who passed away as well, the guy from Fountains of Wayne helped him write like some songs on the album and stuff. And I think he came out and played with them as well, so yeah, the Monkees, man, definitely. I think they deserve to be in there. I know they started off fabricated, but then they had the talent enough where they actually learned their instruments and they started writing their own songs. I mean, I know Nesmith was really the guy, but they all learned how to like play and stuff, and they kind of took it into their own, thing. Almost kind of like it was almost kind of like a Beach Boys thing in a way, But I mean, Beach Boy. I mean, Brian Wilson write songs right off the bat, but they morphed into something different as they went on. Anyway. Monkees, yeah, definitely deserving. Motley Crue, I think they were the pioneers. They spearheaded that whole Sunset Strip scene, man. I mean, you had Van Halen, but then Van Halen went off on their world thing, and Motley Crue was just kind of the second tier of that. They were really like, dude, they pioneered that whole hair metal. I don't like to call it hair metal, but the whole LA
whole scene.
Glam scene, man, glam metal, scene, man. They came out in '81, and they just, and based off those first, I'll say 3 albums because the Home Sweet Home. I do love Theater of Pain as well.
Me too.
So, and I love the Karabi album. Anyway, but they spearheaded that whole scene, man. So influence alone, and kind of pioneering that whole genre. Yeah, they should be in there. And what was the other one?
Triumph.
Oh God, man. Yeah. I mean, will they ever get in? Probably not, but I think they're deserving. They pioneered a whole stage show kind of thing too, man. You know,
Big time.
they were huge. I mean, it's not like you heard, you know, I heard them quite a bit on the radio, actually. They did have radio. I mean, it might have been a regional thing. I know in the New York area, they played in there, you know, they played that area all the time. And I heard songs of theirs on the radio growing up, you know, so they had hits, man.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know. They were an arena band. They were big in the 80s, man. You know, and they took what Kiss did with the Lights show and they made it even bigger, man. You know, they were fucking massive. You know, and I never got to see them live. Unfortunately, I had a chance one time. Sucks, dude, because I should have went. But yeah, I think they're deserving to be in there. I think they should.
I saw their last show at Rocklahoma, and
Man, that's great.
and yeah,
That's cool that you got to go to that.
Yeah,
I know they
that's-
played 2 festivals, and they played Sweden and they played Rocklahoma, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why they won't do shows is because the only way they'll do it is if they can do the whole full light show. Like, we're not going to do it unless we're going to do it all.
Yeah. And I
And,
think now I don't think they'll sell arenas or anything. You know, they've been away so long. I don't know. Would there be interest in them if they came back? It's the whole question.
I think
know,
there
I
would
don't
be.
know.
I think too much time has passed though. I think they're-
Oasis still has interest, and they were waning when they went away.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, Oasis is still young enough where they can go out and
True.
you know.
That's good.
I think you know Rick Emmett. He can't hit those notes
I was
anymore,
gonna
man.
say those are some high notes, man.
Yeah, I mean he's sang high.
Around the mid 90s.
Yeah,
This was late 70s, early 80s.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Much different time. So
right? Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I think all 3 of them get a yes from me.
All right.
Well, quickly back to Crew. I know everybody talks about the first 2 albums, but I'm sorry. Even though they went a little bit more pop leaning with some of the singles and things, Dr. Feelgood was an incredible album.
I love that album too.
And that album production, I mean, even Metallica modeled the Black Albums, the drums, after Tommy Lee's drums on Dr. Feelgood. They're like, they got Bob Rock solely because of Dr. Feelgood. They're like, we want to sound as big as Motley Crue did on Dr. Feelgood. Like, we want a big sound like that. And that's what they got. And I think people, for whatever reason, discount that. Everybody always says, oh, it's just the first 2 albums. No, Dr. Feelgood was massive.
You know, and I've said it on past shows. Dr. Feelgood is a good album. I just feel like it's very overrated, though.
Well, because they got Rattlesnake Shake on there.
I think
Yeah, there's some filler. There's some filler.
There's a lot of filler in that album.
I think Nikki Sixx fell into the whole cliches of like lyrics of like I don't know, sticky
Time
sweet,
for Change.
sticky sweet. She goes down.
I love Time for Change. That's a great song.
Sticky sweet. She goes down. I mean, Nikki.
I like
wrote
Sticky
better
Sweet.
lyrics
Though.
than that, man. You know,
Yeah,
So
there's
I
some
think
cheesy
he fell
stuff
into
there.
cheesy cliches of metal in the late '80s, man. That's just my opinion of the album. I think it's overrated.
Yeah, but the song Dr. Feelgood and just
Oh,
like I
that's a
said,
great,
That's,
That's
a
a
great
great
song.
and just the
My
production.
Heart. Kickstart My
I mean-
Heart's great. Yeah.
Anyways,
All right, you guys. We're a little strapped for time. Let's do all 4. Let's go ahead and do 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a work night, so we can't all be like Jury and be retired.
Preach.
All right, your final 4. Mark, go for it, man.
Iron Maiden, Dio, REO Speedwagon, and the Black Crows.
Ooh,
Good ones, man.
Maiden, Dio, Black Crows, and who?
REO Speedwagon.
Mario.
all right. Well,
All right, Fabio, Maiden, Dio, Speedwagon.
all right. Well,
I'm sorry, Mark.
REO Speedwagon, Iron Maiden, Dio, and the Black Crows.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry. All right.
all right. Well, I'm gonna have to come with 2 more because Dio 1,000% belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
It's
it's
criminal that he's not there yet. My favorite band of all time, Iron Maiden, is the number one snub that has been the number one snub for years. So those are two 1,000% yeses for me. REO Speedwagon, I will give a yes as well. And the Black Crowes, I like the Black Crowes a lot, and there's a couple albums I love, but I'm gonna give them a no for the Rock and Hall of Fame. I don't know. I don't see a lot of influence there. I see a lot of them just sharing their own influences.
Well,
So,
with them in the '90s brought like Southern hard rock back, though. Nobody was doing that in the '90s.
but they're just repeating stuff that you've heard before. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it was.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a breath of fresh air, but I didn't think they brought anything new to the table.
I think they did it their way with Chris's voice. Oh my God, such a great voice.
No, I'm a fan.
Nobody sounds like Chris.
I just
man.
wouldn't give him a vote into the Hall of Fame. That's all.
That's okay.
But yes on the other three for sure.
Yep. All right, Jimmy.
Sorry, I'm taking the dog out. So
No,
she's got to go out. Yeah, I'm going to go yes on all accounts. I mean, REO, those guys were AOR staples. Black Crowes, I think, reinvigorated rock and roll in the late 80s, early 90s. Iron Maiden, I mean, it's like the biggest snub of snubs.
yeah.
Absolutely. And who was the last one?
Dio.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. He's my favorite metal singer of all time, without a doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Al, Iron Maiden, Dio, REO Speedwagon, Black Crowes.
I'm gonna go yes on all four of them. I was almost gonna go no on REO, but if Foreigner's in there and Journey, they were right up there with hits with all those guys. I mean, they were part of that whole movement. So I kind of flip on that. They're deserving to be in there as well. They were a hit making machine in the 80s, in the late 70s into the 80s and stuff. So I mean, they were massive, and I've seen them in concert a couple of times. And they were great. So Dio, absolutely, dude. That's like, to me, that's one of the biggest snubs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How is he not in there? You know, he had success with. I mean, he was with three bands that like had phenomenal fucking albums, man. You know, it's funny, dude. It's kind of fucked up too that he's not in there. Maiden, of course, they were pioneers of the genre of, you know, new wave of British heavy metal, and it just became this massive global thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so and then Black Crowes, I think, yeah, I agree. I think they should be in there. I think they when kind of the whole when the whole glam metal scene was kind of fizzing out and the whole alternative scene, they kind of rode their own path. They were just kind of their own thing. You know what I mean? They weren't part of like any kind of, you know, yeah, they were retro and they were kind of brought back in a way, kind of like a few years earlier when Guns N' Roses kind of brought that Aerosmith kind of Stone swagger back into hard rock. I think Black Crowes kind of did the same kind of thing in a little bit of a different way, but I think they're deserving of being in there. So I say all four should be in.
All right. I'm going to go with Maiden. Yes, they are one of my favorite bands. Absolutely love them. That is a big snub. Ronnie James Dio, another big snub. I mean, from the mid 70s to almost throughout the 80s, he was in the middle of everything.
And the fact that they had the audacity to not include him in the Black Sabbath induction, give me a break.
Yeah,
think
there's a lot
That's
of
travesty.
I think that's a politics.
who they
That's
don't.
politics, and that's a Sharon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
REO Speedwagon, I would say no. And even though I do like them, I do like REO Speedwagon, but it's a no for me. And I do like Black Crowes. I will say no to the Black Crowes as well. I don't think they're Hall of Fame worthy.
Gary Richrath rules. Sorry.
So those two. All right, Flavio, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, I did some pivoting here because a few of mine just went out on this last round,
All right.
but still great ones that I think are very much worthy of going in. I'm going to start with two guitar players, and I think that Steve Vai is worthy of being into the Hall of Fame for all of his work, from Frank Zappa through his solo career and David Lee Roth and everything else. They recently put Randy Rhoads in as a guitar player and for artistry, and I forget what the actual terminology was, but I think Steve Vai is well worth an inclusion here. One of the most influential guitar players of all time. This is probably a controversial pick here, but I would also put Yngwie Malmsteen there. Without Yngwie Malmsteen, forget Shrapnel Records and all the neoclassical metal lead guitar work of the 1980s and 90s that followed him and copied him. Nobody was doing that type of guitar playing before Yngwie. Certainly no one was doing it before him, and certainly nobody did it as well as him after.
Rick Emmett?
No.
He was doing classical guitar work?
That's classical guitar. That's not the neoclassical electric guitar shred. That's a different ball game. And then I'm going to pivot here to the 70s. Another great guitar player, but different genre, with Chic.
Aren't they in?
I thought they were in.
They are not.
No.
Niles Rodgers? No, sir.
I thought they were.
We can double check me again, but I'm pretty sure they're not.
Oh, I'm not going to double check.
Andy doesn't want to send a third very strongly worded letter.
I walked the line.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
I'm a man of the people.
no. Yeah, they're not in yet. Chic, Niles Rodgers. Come on.
Oh,
Or
wow.
Niles Rodgers.
I
Great
know
guitar player, songwriter.
songwriter.
So I think for sure they belong. And also a string of massive hits in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, another massive snub, in my opinion, because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame needs a band that plays rock and roll, and that's Motorhead.
I know didn't Mark mention them earlier?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Did you already get them?
I already got Motorhead.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you can still put it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the last one. I know that we're all grasping.
I got an extra one with the Pixies earlier, so that's fine.
Okay. All right. I know that we're kind of grasping for straws here, or kind of at the bottom of our barrel, because there's been a lot of great bands and artists mentioned tonight. I mean, we're talking about 50 different artists, and that's hard to do, but we've done it very well. Okay, vote time. Jimmy, we are going with Steve Vai, Malmsteen, and Chic.
Okay, so Yngwie, I'm going to have to unfortunately pass on. Phenomenal, changed guitar playing. My issue with Yngwie is songwriting. The playing is there. He had a handful of really good albums. I like Trilogy and Marching Out quite a bit. But yeah, unfortunately, I just am going to have to pass. Steve Vai, I can let in based on his body of work. If it was just his solo career, I don't know that I would, but with his stuff with Zappa and David Lee Roth, I can go with that. Chic, yes, and obviously Motorhead, yeah.
So also with Niles Rodgers, he just didn't do Chic. I mean, he produced a lot.
Oh,
Duran.
I mean, he was in the middle of a lot of stuff.
David Bowie.
Yeah.
80s going into the 90s, and even some touch of the 2000s. So he's also very influential in that. All right, Al. We're looking at Vi, Malmsteen, and Sheik.
Chic, yes. I think they should be in there. Steve Vai, I'd say he should go in there. As much as I love Ingve, dude, I don't think I agree with Jimmy, man. I think he's kind of a one-trick pony, to be honest with you, man. I mean, innovative with the neoclassical style, but I don't know, man. Did he really go on? I mean, I think I think guitar players are just scared of him. there's only like a few guitar players that kind of compared it with him, you know, John Norum, you know, I don't know, dude.
Should I put Europe in there before Ingve? Oh, sorry.
Well, at least Europe had the songs, you know. Ingve,
Yeah.
you know, the problem with Ingve is that he didn't stick with a lineup long enough. Like he just went through singers, and he just, you know,
He's his own worst enemy.
he's his own worst enemy. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I love the 80s run of Ingve albums were awesome. I mean, Odyssey is one of my favorites with Joe Lynn Turner. I love
That's
that
a good
album,
one.
man. You know, I'm gonna say no to him, though, man. I don't see him as going in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, he's innovative, but I think his just body of work kind of hurts him. So,
Fair enough.
All right.
but Vi was like different enough where he did all these different kind of like, projects and stuff where, you know, he was actually pretty versatile. You know what I mean?
Where his contributions to rock and roll
Yeah,
have been,
yeah,
you know, a bigger soundscape.
yeah.
And I
He's
mean,
also
the
a
audience is
mic
listening. The audience is listening that they used to play that on MTV
I mean,
all the time.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
instrumental between him and Satriani. Man, I mean, like
Well, I put Satriani in there too.
nobody was getting on the charts for like instrumental music, you know, much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give Vi, and so all of them in except Ingve. I don't think Ingve. Nah.
I will put Vi in there because I really love his guitar, but I'm a big Zappa fan, and he really, you know,
The fact that he was in his band, you know.
yeah. I mean that alone, you know, that he kind of just as a young kid, you know, 19 or 20, goes up to Frank Zappa. He had the guts to say, "Hey, can I be in your band?" Holy shit! I mean, you know, he bothered Frank. He called his house, and you know, until he said finally. So Zappa said, "Finally, let's see what you got." And of course, we got the great album. I don't remember the whole title because it's long, but the Drowning Witch album, just fantastic. Absolutely love that album. So I'll say yes to Steve Vai. I don't know that much about Malmsteen. I've got a couple of his albums, so I would have to say no. Chic. When it came to Chic, but before I start talking a little bit about Chic, I'm going to give them a yes. But they weren't just disco. They were pushing the envelope on pop music and on dance music at the time of disco. Even though they were kind of put them into disco, they were a step ahead of them, a step above. Their beats were different. Their song structure was different. It wasn't kind of where disco at that time got kind of lazy on things. Chic was pushing it forward. So I say yes on them. All right, Mark, Steve Vai, Malmsteen, and Chic. What do you think?
Vi, yes. Malmsteen, he gets on my nerves a lot. I bought that last solo album where he sang on it. It was fucking horrible. My God, I fucking hate it. It's like, God dang. I said, let me buy. I've never bought an Yngwie Malmsteen now, but Eddie Trunk was like kissing its ass with him on a fucking, you know what? Fuck you, Eddie Trunk. I ain't listening to your fucking musical opinions again. You lie. You fucking lie. That album was fucking horrible. And Chic, of course, I'm going to go with Chic.
Wait, so you never had any Malmsteen albums, and that's the first one you buy?
I have it digitally. I have Trilogy. I like that shit. I
All right.
have like Rising Force, but I never bought a CD by him. I just like took it off the internet for free because I didn't want to buy any Malmsteen because I wasn't sure, because I like him and I don't like him. And then Eddie Trunk said, "Oh, he's good." I said, "He's a great guitarist. Let me buy that last album." And I go,
Yeah, he needs a singer, man.
God dang. He thinks he could sing. That's the problem with him. Because he's got.
That's not why I would be putting him in on the last.
He hates leads. He hates.
I'd be putting him in because he's what he started with the guitar trend.
The thing is, he hates lead singers, but he has lead singer disease also. There you go. He thinks he's good. Yeah.
So he'll fire himself then.
Yeah, he should fire himself. Please bring Joe Lynn Turner back. He's the best singer ever had.
All right, Jimmy, what are your 4? 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So, sorry, I'm just trying to verify.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, Justin loves you again.
There goes one off my list.
Yeah,
Oh,
me
sorry.
too. There goes one off of my
Sorry.
list.
I just realized I was like, they're not in. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I can skip that. I've got some other ones.
No.
No. You guys take that. I'm going to go with the Commodores.
Nice one.
I mean, come on, Lionel Richie. Yeah, come on. So I am not 100% certain on this one, but Jay Giles Band.
Oh, I agree with that one.
They were known as one of the best live bands ever, and that's from busting the road, playing night after night after night for years on end. And if you listen to the Blow Your Face Off album, it's got the best stage rap of any live album before Must Have Got Lost. That alone is well worth a listen. So we're gonna go Commodores.
You could put ELP in there, dude.
No,
Yeah,
I'll save that for you guys.
Dude, seriously.
Well,
Because
I've got others.
Okay.
Go for it.
Because this may be just me being a victim of listening to an immense amount of yacht rock radio, but I did not see Kenny Loggins on the list. And you look at what that guy did from Loggins and Messina, which I absolutely adore those albums, from Danny's Song to Your Mama Don't Dance, into his kind of mid to late 70s stuff, into being like the soundtrack guy. I mean,
The 80s, yeah.
yeah, I mean, that guy did some massive stuff. And then I'm going to go with the guy that's probably responsible for a large amount of the population existing, and I'm going to go with Barry White, which is just kind of me randomly. So ELP is still on the table. We're going Jay Giles Band, Commodores, Kenny Loggins, and Barry White.
You'll never find another love like
Come on. Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
this.
Yeah.
All right, Al. Commodores, Jake Giles Band, Kenny Loggins, Barry White. You'll never find. I can't believe I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
That's pretty good, Andy.
I'm the Barry
That was
White in my
pretty good.
house.
So again, so it's the Commodores.
Commodores, Jake Giles Band, Kenny Loggins, and Barry White.
Barry White and Commodores, yes. Jay Giles and who's the other one?
Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins, no. I'm gonna go no on those two.
Well,
Um,
it's all right.
I think Commodores should be in there. Yeah, I think they deserve between him. I think if it's a Commodores and kind of
Lionel.
Lionel Richie kind of double induction, I think that could work good.
Mhm.
You know,
Lionel's already in solo.
who
Lionel Richie's
Oh,
already in
is-
solo.
is he soloing? All right, okay, all right. So Commodores, yeah, I think they're deserving, man. They had a lot of hits, man. Not to say that Kenny Loggins didn't have a lot of hits. He was like the soundtrack king.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know about him being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame though. But I mean, if Hall and Oates is in there,
Oh, come on. Hall Notes. God damn, they rule.
I'm And what did I say else?
I know.
Getting
I'm
here.
with you, Al.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I said.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You've already voted on all 4.
So yeah, Commodores, yes, and Barry White, yes. That's it.
Yeah. And Jay Giles band, no, and Kenny Loggins, no.
It's not that I don't like Jay Giles band. I was never really big into them. So
You should listen to the 70s stuff, dude. It's like
yeah,
so
no,
good.
I never deep dove into that shit. I know they have one of the best live albums, but
Yeah, you should deep dive. Me and Lee did a review on that album. He opened my eyes. I thought they were just the Centerfold band. No, they're more than that.
Oh yeah, they're more than that.
Hardcore blues, rhythm
Yeah.
and blues too,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Those
good
those
band.
first 2 live albums are
Yeah.
worth just a listen.
all right.
Yeah, like Morning After is a good album. I like Morning After.
Yeah.
Commodores, yes, I absolutely love the Commodores. I've got a lot of their albums. I've even got a double live album here by the Commodores.
Cause I'm easy.
Jay Giles band, man, that's really on the fence. I'll come back to that one. Let me think a little bit more on that one. Kenny Loggins, no. Barry White, yeah, for what he's done. That's fine. Jay
For what he's
Giles,
done for the population.
yeah, for what he's done for America. I'll say yes on Jay Giles band. I think they're a fun band. I've never seen them live, but their stuff in the 70s was really good. Guitar work by Jay Giles, real good. Peter Wolf really has a great stage presence. I like stage presence. So yeah, I'll say yes on Jay Giles band. All right, Mark, Commodores, Jay Giles band, Kenny Loggins, and Barry White.
I don't really care for Barry White, but fuck, like they said, man, we wouldn't have half the population without that guy. So I'm gonna say yes to all 4, and I'm really gonna give a big nod to Jay Giles because I only knew them as fucking Love Stinks, Centerfold, stuff like that. But then Lee opened me up to the live album and some other live albums by them. My God, this band is more than 80s pop.
Yeah.
They are fucking really fucking. And Jay Giles, I love Peter Wolf solo, by the way. I like him as you are and Lights Out. Flash, Flash, Flash. I love those 2 albums that he did.
I remember being a kid and the Centerfold video would come on. And if I heard someone walking by, there I was changing it.
Him and his fucking him and his doing this, his rolling his arms. He does that in the 70s too. That was a movie he always had, Like and even in the Lights Out, he's doing this, the video.
I mean, night school and lingerie. Who would have thunk that? All right.
I say yes to all 4.
All right, Flavio, Commodores, Jay Giles band, Kenny Loggins, Barry White.
I think I'll split this one. I'll be curious to see what the tally is at the end because I feel like it's kind of mixed around the board. I'll probably split on this one too, and I'll say 100% yes to Kenny Loggins. I'll say yes to the Commodores. That's kind of one of those rare cases that we talked about. Well, Al didn't even know Lionel Richie was already there, but where Lionel Richie, where the solo career kind of took off a little bit stronger than the original band, but they're definitely deserving. Great band. So yeah, Commodores and Loggins for sure. I like Barry White. I like Jay Giles, but I would probably not put them in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, both of them, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Commodores were just here last week for Jazz Fest.
Oh, wow.
But I was unable to make it. I went to go see Billy Idol that night. So
nice.
Yeah.
Saw him last fall. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. I really hate to break it to you guys, but I'm not going to be able to come up with a tally because I can't even read what I did. So I got X's and check marks all over the place.
Well, I think Jay Giles band didn't make it. I'm just in my head.
Okay. Oh well, yeah. I can do who made it, but I can't do who has the most bands that made it.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. And you said yes or no on Barry White, Fabio?
No.
Okay. So the only one that you'll induct out of there are the Commodores.
And Kenny Loggins.
Oh, and Kenny Loggins. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Al, what are your final four, man?
All right. I think these guys were nominated this past year, but they didn't get in. That's Joy Division and New Order. I think that they're very deserving to be in there. That whole post-punk Joy Division, especially, I think they were very influential on a lot of artists. I mean, without them, I mean, would you have like an REM? Even kind of like, I mean, a bunch of like 80s, like kind of modern rock, alternative rock, kind of, the whole post-punk goth thing, man, was kind of started with them, really.
Sure, the Pitch Mode, so much of that era we would not have.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Joy Division and New Order. I'm gonna put them both together because New Order was just born out of Joy Division.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yeah.
it's basically the same band, but just different, I'm gonna go with Tool. I think Tool is deserving to be in there. Unique. They took kind of what King Crimson did and took it a whole thing further, man. Like, I mean, they were like really took prog, even though they don't call themselves prog. They really were progressive in the 90s, but progressive in like an alternative way. Like, I don't know, they were just so unique in their own way, man. They when you hear a Tool song, you know who the hell it is. Nobody else sounds like that, man. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for uniqueness alone, I think they're deserving, and they're eligible. I mean, their first album was 92 or something like that. So, I'm gonna go with them. I'm gonna go since Jimmy didn't pick them. I'm gonna go Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I think they, along with King Crimson and Jethro Tull, they were the pioneers of progressive rock. So, and all three virtuosos, and people forget how massive they were. I mean, they sold out stadiums, man.
Mhm.
They were a stadium band in the 70s. So, and they were very unique too in that they were one of the, and not to say the first band, but they did play with orchestras and things like that. So the whole classical element came into their music. Keith Emerson, one of the greatest keyboard players ever, probably the GOAT. So I'm going to go with them. And finally, my number one, and my top four was like scratched out because everybody picked them. I got to go Blue Oyster Cult, man.
Okay.
I think they're deserving to be in there. I think nobody was doing lyrics like them in the 70s. They had these thinking like kind of sci-fi, kind of occultish.
Yeah.
It just made you think. It wasn't your typical kind of cliche kind of lyrics. They were really kind of like a well-read, but they had that kind of like darkness to them and evilness, but with pop hooks in a way. Like it's kind of, it just, they were very unique too. And people forget how big they were in the 70s. They, and they pioneered like lasers in concert, things like that. So the people forget how big they were. So I think they're deserving as well. So those are my four. You got Joy Division, New Order, Tool, ELP, and Blue Oyster Cult.
I'm going to say yes on Joy Division and New Order, even though I listened to more New Order, of course, because Joy Division only had that one or two albums, right? It was just that one, right?
Just two albums, really.
There's two by Joy Division.
Yeah.
They're amazing albums, though.
I say yes. Tool is one of my favorite bands. Tool, I think, were not just unique, but they also had a mystique to them. The first decade or so, where they were kind of mysterious in a way, and so good. And back then, we would just wait for the next album to drop. So Tool is a yes. I had Emerson, Lake and Palmer on my list, so that's gonna be a yes. And Blue Oyster Cult was on my list as well. I'm going to go with Blue Oyster Cult. Yes, it's so true. Everything that Al was saying about about the Blue Oyster Cult lyrics. They're completely different from anybody else, and that's what made the '70s so great. Individualism in music was an all-time high. I mean, look at these bands that came out of the '70s. They were accepted and loved. I mean, by fans of millions. So I say yes on all four. All right, Mark, Joy Division, New Order.
Joy Division, New Order. I'm holding up Unknown Pleasures here by
All right.
Joy Division.
Right.
Great fucking album. I love New Order. You know, Blue Monday. Who hasn't heard Blue Monday?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my god, the band is fucking amazing. There isn't a bad Joy Division or a New Order album, by the way. Great bands. I'm a huge fan of those bands. And what's the other ones?
Tool.
Tool's Rules. I got the first album here too.
Yeah.
Love that band. And what's the other one?
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
I don't like them, but they should be there.
All right. And Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, come on. Blue Oyster Cult should be there. They've inspired every fucking band out in the fucking metal rock. Hard rock, and even fucking new wave. They fucking inspired everybody. They go through all genres. They have inspired a plethora of different genres, and they fucking rule.
All right. Fabio, Joy Division, New Order.
Yeah, that's a definite yes. Great band, great music, pioneers again in the whole new wave world, which I loved. Blue Oyster Cult, absolutely yes. ELP for sure, yes. I'm
What
sorry.
about-
I know I'm in the minority of the world, but I've never got Tool. I don't know. I kind of want to give them a yes, because I know everybody in the world likes them except for me. But I just don't. I don't
Not
know.
everybody in the world likes them.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
get them.
They definitely
I've
have
seen
their
them
hate.
live, and I liked them even less live than when I listened to them on their albums. I don't know. It's not for me for whatever reason.
Yeah. You just don't think that they belong in the Rock Hall.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah. All right, Jimmy, Joy Division, New Order.
It's all four yes for me.
All four
I'm a li-
yes.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself that I didn't think of BOC. That's a absolute. And
That actually
honestly, I
surprised the shit out of me how nobody had them yet, man. I was
yeah,
like,
I wasn't even.
I was waiting for them to get axed.
I knew you were gonna pick them, Al.
Yeah, that's
My top four that I scratched out on my list that I replaced. My top four were Alice in Chains, Boston, Jethro Tull, and Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy was my number one, but you know,
I had Thin Lizzy as my number 3. I scratched them out too. And Styx was my number 1. Somebody already picked Styx.
anyway, I didn't mean to step on you there, Jimmy.
no. That's I just I'm kicking myself for forgetting one of my favorite bands. So, but yeah, no, that's. I'm
I
glad
didn't
you got 'em,
realize
'cause
they weren't
that's-
already in.
I think between all five of us, man, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Let's go with my final four. Angel,
Wow.
Anthrax. One of my favorites. And when I looked this up, I know that he's not in there. They said a lot of people in their genres are not on there. But then the next sentence says that a lot of people in the genre are in there, so it makes no sense. George Benson,
Oh,
I think
Yeah.
he's so smooth on that guitar. And my last one I'm going to go up with. This isn't primarily my number one, but it's the last one I have on my list. Korn. So Angel, Anthrax, George Benson, and Korn. Mark.
Angel, George Benson, and Korn. And what's the other? Is there the fourth one?
Angel, Anthrax, George Benson, and Korn.
I take Anthrax. I take George Benson. Angel, maybe because of their stage show, but I wouldn't put them in there. I don't think they were anything special to me.
Okay.
I have listened to them. I got the books by Gordon Levitt. I like The Tower a lot. It's a great song. and what's the last one? Corn. No. I've never. I can't stand Corn, and I don't see what they did for music. I think all that music with Corn and that other band with Chino. What's that band? Chino.
Deftones.
Yeah, they sounded the same to me. I didn't like it at all.
I don't think they sound the same, but
Completely different. But hey, we all hear things differently.
That's true.
All right. Flavio, Angel, Anthrax, George Benson, and Korn.
I'm I kind of with Mark on Angel. I like him, but I don't really see them as a Rock and Hall of Fame band.
Oh yeah,
Right.
they're
That would be a no for me.
Yeah.
The other three, definitely yes. George Benson, incredible. Anthrax is, yeah, one of my favorite bands of all time. And they also stand out as they, in the big four, as they should. All four bands are different from each other, but yet lent themselves to the whole growth of the genre.
Yeah.
And then
Korn.
and Korn. So I saw Korn before anybody knew who they were. Open for Megadeth on their first opening slot major tour. And yeah, they just changed the landscape of music. I'll be honest, I don't really like anything after that first album. So they're kind of like a first album deserves to put them in for me, because I feel like they changed the landscape. As much as I dislike a lot of the new metal that they created that followed them, the fact is they did it. I mean, single-handedly, I think they changed the landscape of music there in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
And they absolutely deserve to be
and that first album came out, what, 94, right?
It was like 95, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really when a lot of things were kind of fluctuating, Korn was very strong there in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. They deserve for sure.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, Angel, Anthrax, George Benson, and Korn.
I'm gonna go. I was not a big Korn fan for a long time, and I wouldn't consider myself a big fan,
Right.
but I've kind of got a new appreciation for them. They did years ago, MTV did like a tribute to Metallica, and they performed One, and it was absolutely incredible. And I kind of saw them in a little different light after that, and I can kind of really, especially that first album, go back and appreciate it.
Yeah.
And even the first two or three albums, I can appreciate. And they were, I think, of that whole genre, they were definitely one of the better bands. I think them and
definitely.
Deftones were kind of the two bands that kind of, to me, stood out above the rest. So I would put Korn in there for sure. George Benson, absolutely incredible. Not just a great guitar player, but great voice.
Smooth singer. Yeah.
Oh, so good. I got a few records over there in the collection, and I would absolutely. Who was the other one besides Angel that you had?
Well,
Anthrax.
Anthrax. Yeah, I would put Anthrax. If you've got Metallica, Slayer, and Megadeth in there, you got to have the big four. So, and they were kind of, I think for a lot of us, they were the gateway into thrash. Where
they were one of the first.
More melodic.
Yeah, Joey's vocals were definitely a little bit easier to digest if you hadn't been exposed to that previously. And Angel is a hard yes for me. I got to see them open for Ace Frehley, and they were far better than Ace Frehley. And
seems like a lot of people are.
The most frustrating part about that whole thing, though, was every time Punky would solo, they wouldn't boost his guitar. Whoever was running sound, you could hear the keyboard louder than you could hear Punky's guitar. And we were probably 8 rows back, and I could see what he was doing, and it's amazing, but you couldn't hear it over the kick drum and the keyboard. So it was so frustrating. But yeah, it's a solid yes for me.
Yeah, I had bought one Angel album, and I forgot which one it was. And then after I heard that one, every time I find something Angel, I grab it. I grab it. I just think they're great. All right, Al. Angel, Anthrax, George Benson, and Korn.
If nobody has Angel, man, and they find this, man, grab it. It's a good. I found this in a thrift store, man. I was like, gotta have it.
The logo rules too.
Yeah,
Oh, the logo is awesome.
Isn't that the band that says, yeah, sign them, but they can't play with us? Kiss said that about them, right? They
Yeah.
can't open for us.
yeah, they were on Casablanca as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
And Kiss said, go ahead, sign them, but they can't tour with us.
As much as I love Angel, I don't see them as a Hall of Fame band. I just, you know, and yeah, I got into Angel late. Like I was like you, I picked up an album and I just discovered how great they were, man. And I was like, wow, you know, and but I don't know, man. I don't know if they're Hall of Fame worthy. So I don't want to disappoint you guys, but I'm going to say no on them. Anthrax, yes. If you're going to put all the other guys in there, Anthrax was the more they appealed even to, like, I think to me when I was in high school, like the girls loved Anthrax. Like out of the thrash bands, I mean they loved Metallica too, but I think Anthrax was the most because they had Joey's vocals were the most melodic. He was the best singer out of probably everybody,
sure.
you know, in those bands.
And they would goof around a lot too. So you
Yeah.
kind of had that.
Yeah, they were
They got
hilarious.
the rap thing too, you know, and they, you know, I think ultimately that kind of hurt them a little bit because then, you know, everybody just kind of started thinking of them as kind of a joke around thing and everything, you know. So, but I think they deserve to be in there. George Benson, yes, I listened to him a lot when I started working with my brother. And listened to a lot of jazz and stuff like that. And yeah, he was always like played a lot. And then Korn, absolutely. I think they defined the genre. They were very unique when they came out of the gate. They had a sound nobody else had. And for better or for worse, I mean, I'm not a big new metal guy. You know, I like some of it, but they were like the top dogs in that genre. But I think that genre really kind of just imploded on itself real quick, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Korn stood their ground. They survived, you know, the death of that genre, really. So, and really, kind of that genre is kind of coming back around again.
Unfortunately.
You know, but you know, I think they, you know, for me, originality and things like that's like. You know, things like that, I think is Hall of Fame worthy, and I think they deserve. If it's going to be one band out of that genre, it's got to be them. They're the pioneers of that. So even if they don't ever put anybody else in from that genre, which I don't think anybody else really deserves. Even the Deftones is not. I mean, I like the Deftones too, but I don't think they're Hall of Fame worthy. Korn is really the only band out of that genre that would really have a chance to get in there. So
what about
so we saw them, nobody knew who they were, and when they came out, everybody was just like, what the hell are we seeing right now? Like when
a band makes you think that's you know that something's going on.
Yeah.
It was exactly like I'll tell you, when I went to Ozfest 98 and I went to the small stage and I saw System of a Down for the first time. I didn't know nothing about them, you know, and I was just like, they were just so weird and so quirky and so, but they were stuck out and were so different. I was just, my friend and I looked at each other like, I don't know, man, what about this band? Like, where the fuck? Now they're fucking selling out stadiums, dude. I never even like.
I love that band.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy, but
I wonder how many 7-string guitars those guys are responsible for selling in the 90s.
I wish that band would make a fucking new album. I'm getting tired of this shit.
What's that?
I wish System would make a new fucking album, man. Surge holds that shit up, that bastard. Fuck.
Anyway, that's 3 yes, 1 no.
All right. So let me see. I'm just gonna mention the bands that got 100% yeses. All right, and that's going to be Motorhead, Megadeth, Phil Collins, Iron Maiden, Dio, Jane's Addiction, Styx, Bryan Adams, Billy Idol, Pixies, Steve Vai, Chic. So everybody that's watching, according to us, all these bands are being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
We've already made the hall better.
Yeah, we already have. Let me see here. Scorpions, Kansas, Thin Lizzy, King Crimson, Commodores are going in there. Joy Division, New Order, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I still don't understand why Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Blue Oyster Cult are not in there. That's just crazy for me. Grand Funk Railroad, Smashing Pumpkins, Motley Crue. Did we all vote for Motley Crue?
I
Not
didn't.
everybody.
I didn't vote for them.
Okay. So no on Motley Crue. Triumph, the Monkees, Anthrax, and George Benson. All those were inducted tonight here on the Black Spinner Circle. Thank you so much, guys.
Hey,
This was a great
Can I
show.
say one thing? I'm
Yes, sir.
surprised nobody picked Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was about
I've
it.
always thought of them as just kind of another clone off of Alice in Chains a little
Not
bit.
even close.
Oh no, I don't think they're a clone at all.
Oh,
I
not
think
even.
they're so good. I think they're very unique in their own way.
They are
Brooke-
unique, but I don't know.
But
Yeah.
I don't know.
They had more of a groove and a funk to them than Alice did.
They're like right there in the cusp for me. They really are. It's like
Yeah.
I love them. I saw them. I don't know how many times with Scott Weiland. I think I saw every tour except for the first one. But geez, I just don't know.
Because I had them off because I really thought you were going to pick them, Andy.
Yeah, no, I left them off. Surprisingly so. But you're right. That is a band I might have put in there. But thank you so much, everybody. Al and I thank y'all for all the bands y'all chose. These were great picks. Thank you so much for all the hard work y'all put into it. Everybody out there watching, we've had some people coming in and out and a couple of comments. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this unique take on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Tomorrow, you can catch me and Al at the BS sessions with Mark, where we're going to be making our own W2 album. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. Jerry is going to be doing his picks, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Fucker.
So we'll be doing that tomorrow. What are we doing next week, Al?
I haven't even decided yet, to be
All right.
honest with you.
All right. I know there'll be something good.
I have to brainstorm something. Yeah, I'll think of something, but I'll put the word out there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what we're going to do, and then something comes up, and then boom, everything just starts to fall in line. All right. Thank you so much. Anybody want to plug anything before we go
Mark,
out?
We
Mark?
just plugged the BS sessions, but anything else, Mark?
Freeform Rock Podcast on Fridays, man. Just check it out, man.
Yeah. Great show. I absolutely love that show where they pick an album and they go through track by track and play their favorite songs from that album. It's great.
We also mix it up lately. We talked about Metallica producer and stuff like that.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Right. And then the different guitars.
Yeah.
as well. So that's great. Fabio, thank you for being on. We really appreciate you being here. Hopefully
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we can get you on here more often because you're a great guest. So thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, he's brought to you by the Mooger Fooger. And prayers for the Mooger, man.
Yes, Mooger, please get better out there.
Yeah.
I meant to say that earlier. We're all praying for you, Mooger. We hope you get better soon. It sounds like he'll be better soon, but still.
Yeah, I told him if he's
Happy
okay.
40th to this album today.
Right on. I love that album. I almost picked them as being a Hall of Fame, but there's no chance in hell they'll get in there.
What, Night
Yeah.
Ranger?
Yeah,
Nah.
no chance in hell. But the thing is,
Them and Tesla.
I told Mooger today, if you're home and you can sit in a chair, you better do the podcast, bitch.
Oh,
I did
come
it.
on.
I did it with a bad back before I had surgery, and I did it after back surgery on everybody. I was on Black Spinner with a bad back the first day my back went out. So
Yeah, but you were hunched over, but that's okay.
come on, whatever. I still did the shows. I didn't miss one show.
You're like, well, my number 9 pick. What's this guy?
I was okay. I was sitting straight in the chair.
I
was
know.
fine.
I'm just fucking with you.
And
And
before we take off, yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
thanks, Jimmy. Thank you so much for being here, man.
But I
Really
saw-
Appreciate it.
I took my family to go see AC/DC
Yes, how was that?
on Friday. It was fucking phenomenal. They exceeded my expectations. I was going there a little bit nervous, but Brian sounded really good, man, and Angus just fucking tore it up. And the rest of the guys, I mean, Chris Chaney on bass and Matt Logg, they impressed me on the rhythm section there. So, as much as I love Phil Rudd and all that, I know they can't tour over here. I know Cliff is retired, so I did pick up. They've released a High Voltage, the Australian version.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I picked the vinyl up there at the merch stand because I always wanted to have this version of it.
Yeah, of course.
I was always a tour book guy back in the day, and I picked up a tour book, man,
Nice.
just for the heck of it.
Nice.
I mean, who knows how long ACDC is going to stick around for? And I also got a cool poster.
Hey man, was that a good price for that TNT vinyl?
That's $30.
Oh yeah. That's
That's fair.
fair.
This is a Tampa poster just specifically for the show. I thought it was really cool.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to pick this up, man. This is really nice. I'm gonna frame this sucker and display it in my house. And Kayla, my daughter, man, first time seeing them and might be the last, but she had a blast. And my wife Tina, man, that was her second time seeing them. It's my fourth overall time seeing them actually. So yeah, they're still there, man. They're still fucking rocking, bro. I have a feeling they're gonna do another US leg next year.
I
I hope
hope so.
so.
We're not even coming to Texas.
They didn't even come. They didn't go to New York. They didn't do New York area show. So
They did the Rose Bowl, but I don't want to go to a stadium anymore. I've had bad luck at stadiums.
I mean, I'm not a stadium show guy anymore either, but it's the only way to see them, and I really want to take my daughter to experience them. It was more for
where
her
did they
than,
play, Al?
huh?
Oh, where did they play?
They played here in Tampa at Raymond James, where Buccaneers play.
Oh, okay. Dude, that's a pretty cool stadium,
It
though.
is a cool
It's
stadium,
not that high. It's kind of stretched out, don't you think?
It's
Did they utilize the cannon for those about to rock?
Yeah, for the ship.
yeah, I was hoping they did, but they had their own cannon, so
Oh, man.
that would have been cool, man.
Yeah, they went
Should've.
for the ship.
So, but yeah, that's my little review on it. So yeah, it was more for. I really want my daughter. I'm trying to get her to go to all the classic bands before they're gone. We got Metallica up next. We're gonna go see them.
Nice.
Awesome.
So she'll get to experience them with her friend. I got a couple extra tickets, so her and her friend are gonna rock out and enjoy it. I'm gonna be there too. So, but yeah, I haven't seen Metallica since like the Death Magnetic tour actually. So it's
Oh,
been a
wow.
long time, so I've actually seen them. But anyway, that's it.
All right.
Hey, Joseph Staub said you could get the new Alice Cooper for like under $19 on Amazon on vinyl. So
Yeah, I gotta get that, man.
I've already pre-ordered it after he put it out there. $18 for the new Alice Cooper on double vinyl. Yes.
it's double. Oh shit! I got to pre-order that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was double.
I gotta
Yeah,
pre-order.
double,
it.
it's probably double because of the link. You know how they do things now.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it's not actual double album, but you do get two vinyls. I'm pretty sure
Original lineup.
CD.
it's the classic. It's the original band, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alice Cooper band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if y'all haven't heard their lead-off single, it's fantastic. It sounds so much like
And I
70s.
like the yeahs. I don't know. A lot of people don't.
Oh, it's so weird how that song just takes you back to that time. It's crazy how they're able to do that. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you for everybody that watched. Thank you, Al, about talking to us about the ACDC show. I meant to ask you earlier.
Yeah, no problem.
But thank you, guys.
Jimmy,
I'll
Fabio,
enjoy y'all's night.
Mark, thank you guys, man. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thank
See
you.
you guys
Love you
tomorrow.
guys.
Andy, until next week, brother. Or I'll
Yeah.
see you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Y'all take it easy.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.